Hello, Nidhi, Ria, Zeenat, Veena, Soni, Lalita, Jyoti, Ritika. Hello. Divine Feminine Awakening Coach, 1 year blessing. Wow, we met a year ago, is it? How wonderful is that? Madhumita, how do you select such cool songs? I can't take any credit for it because I just go on YouTube, put Bollywood mashup, and then whichever mashup shows up, I just press that. So honestly speaking, I am not choosing any of the songs myself personally. Priyanka Lokhande is saying, hey, beautiful ma'am. Madhumita is saying, morning. Tanupriya is saying, you are so adorable. Thank you. Love you, my angel. Oh, so sweet. Okay, let's get started with the questions. Life coach Asha Soni is asking, people who want to do their coaching but don't want to pay, how to deal with that? You know what? I think only in coaching we will even ask a question like this. Can you imagine any other industry where we would say, this person came to my shop, he wanted a phone, but he was not willing to pay. What should I do about that? Okay, so anybody who's not interested in paying, the biggest thing you have to understand is that the payment tells you a few things about your client. Number one, they value what you're offering. Number two, they will be committed to show up because they will also be invested. A lot of times our good heart feels like maybe I should just do the coaching and when their life becomes better, they'll pay me. You know what happens 90% of the time? These people after the second session don't even show up. Even though you are going to give your 100 or 150%, they are going to put 20%. You are going to start doubting yourself and you are going to think that maybe there is something you are doing that you can do better for them to stay attracted. The more money a client pays you, the more committed they are to their results. So the higher the paying client, the better. So we have to start to know this and understand this, that we want people to value us. Otherwise, there's no point in taking that person on client. No matter how much they are suffering, they're actually not ready for change. They are wanting sympathy. They are wanting victimhood. They are wanting for the world to feel bad for them. Guess what they don't want? Solution. And you going to give them a solution without taking money from them, the solution will go from 1 year to another year and come out and it won't even affect. So please, from today onwards, when someone is not willing to pay, that's not your time to stretch yourself and become charitable. That is your time to realize that this person still is not ready for the coaching. Okay? Super Wednesday, happy Akshay Tritiya. Is it Akshay Tritiya? Oh wow. Page Aishwarya. Hi ma'am, I'm going to shift from Gurgaon to Chennai soon due to hubby's job. I'm anxious how I will adopt to the new culture. Please help. Aishwarya, my suggestion to you would be as open to the understanding of the fact that, when you get to live in different cities, to learn what is good about that particular city, and you keep yourself open in your energy. If you have a child, you'll make friends through school. If you have a job, you'll make friends through the work environment. So eventually we all settle down. Depending on where you're staying, there'll be a neighborhood. Maybe you can join a few classes. There's a whole process to how you can make this transition easier for yourself. For that, you will need to get out and look for things that interest you so that you can find people who are interested in the things that interest you. Okay, it's not as difficult as sometimes we make it out to be. Of course, there will be a change in food. I get super excited when I get to explore different places. I get super excited. Like I remember when I was coming to Chennai, I was like, wow, this is the first time I'm going to be staying in a city that has a beach. Maybe I can go to the beach every morning, coconut water and all of the things that excited me coming from Delhi, because Delhi didn't have all of that. Of course, I was also adjusting to the idea that there is no winter here, so there's no packing of the summer clothes and winter clothes coming out, or packing of the winter clothes and summer clothes coming out. And I'm like, then how do you guys throw your clothes? Like the whole year, the same clothes keep running. So then how do you decide when to move to the next, set of cupboards? Because Delhi, it's so easy and so simple for us to decide, like, okay, this gets packed, this comes out. So very interesting. Again, like I said, that you have to just keep yourself open to the energy that something good is going to come out of it. Yeah. Coach Abida Nadaf, hey Pooja, how does your home gets managed so efficiently while you travel? So Abida, I'm a rock star as far as running the house is concerned. I don't know if you've ever done enlightenment with me. At the end of enlightenment, you get this beautiful program called the Domestic Goddess course that me and my co-sister created. She's very hands-on in her house. I am very dependent on the staff that I train with a lot of passion. I have lovely staff. They've been with me for years now, and one of the things I do is I keep creating new recipes, new ways of how I want my house to be kept, how often I want all the cushions changed, the colors changed, this changed, that changed. So by the grace of God, it's something that I'm very, very interested in, and I take a lot of effort to hire right, and then to really spend time to train them, and then to pay them really well so that I'm never fearful that they will leave me. So all of these things make a difference. So if you are also interested in running your house super efficiently, speak to my team. I have a beautiful program called Domestic Goddess 6 videos. That's where I speak. And then if you want the higher version, which is the Domestic Goddess with my co-sister and I created together 30 videos, if you're interested in, just write to us and I'll see what I can do for you to get that open for you. Yeah. So under this video, when we finish today, you can just put Domestic Goddess and at least the 6 videos, so I'll just send to everybody who sends me that message. Okay? Bhakti Bhargava, hi, I just wanted to ask you, how do I start from where should I start? Sorry, it may be a lame question, but I'm so confused as to how do I start? What is the first step? Bhakti, you've forgotten to tell me in what? In what do you want to start? Is it your career you're talking about? What are you talking about? There's no, give me something, then I can guide you. Is it a business? Is it a job? Is it a, shifting to a city? What are you planning to start that you are wondering where to start? Yeah. Raja Neem 792, I keep waiting for your class. I feel too boosted spending time in your class. I'm so happy to hear that, sweetheart. God bless you. Okay, so we have somebody who is from Greater Noida, settled in Chennai. Maybe you can get in touch with her. See if you can exchange phone numbers amongst yourself. Coach Ashwini, life coaching is magical. Then why people are not aware about it? You know what? There's always a time in the world where, things need to mature or blossom. And we are so lucky that we are at a time when people don't have enough information. So we become the industry leaders to make sure that they get the information the right way. So, just because something is magical, it's not necessary that people will be aware, true or not. So you have to now start to go, you know what, I take the onus. There was a story where this Bata salesman or someone went to Africa and wrote back to the company that nobody wears shoes here, no point opening a store here. Next year, the following year, they had sent another salesman and he wrote, oh my God, we need to come here immediately. Nobody wears shoes here, lot of scope here. Okay, so Asha, it's all about how you're going to be looking at the opportunity. If you're going to look at the opportunity, why people are not aware of how magical it is, that's one way of looking at it. Or you can say, you know what, I'm so lucky that I'm starting coaching at a time where nobody knows about it. So whatever I do with them, if I am able to create the magic, then the word will spread thanks to me. Okay, so we are the early adopters. So right now, India is going through the early adoption of coaching. Do you know that in Dubai already they have made it mandatory that 30 hours of coaching has to be made mandatory by the corporate and sponsored by the corporate? And I was like, wow, because Marissa Pierce had come to my house and now she is the brand ambassador for mental wellness in Dubai. And she was saying, Dubai already understands this. They have understood the magic. It's only a matter of time, sweetheart, that it's going to come to India. You remember at one point when CSR was made mandatory across the board? Same is going to happen with coaching. The mental wellness of the employee is going to become the responsibility of the corporate. And when that happens, can you imagine the need for people like you and me is just going to soar. Mona, how to choose a topic for coaching? The best topic to choose for coaching is the one in which you have massive experience and that you love teaching. So if you are a great parent, then parenting coaching is brilliant. If you are great in your relationship, do that. Wherever in your life your expertise lives, that should be your topic ideally. Pooja Bansal, I think you can't see my question. Unfortunately, I can't, Pooja, but agar aayega to pakka I will answer, theek hai? Deepika, my husband is a narcissistic. I want to set free, but my family says time will heal, but it's been 16 years now and my child is also getting affected. Now tired of the daily conflict. Please help me, I'm alone. Deepika, the job of our society is to keep us in our marriage no matter how bad it is. So whenever you do decide to move on, please know you're going to have to go against all of society norms, because even now in India, divorce is considered wrong or bad or shameful or whatever words you want to put to it. Unfortunately, instead of prioritizing their own child, they tend to prioritize what will society say. Okay, so whenever it is going to happen, please know that you're going to have to rise like the phoenix with all of the strength that you have. Simply, easily, it's not going to happen. It's going to happen with a fight against all the people, because you know what, we as women give almost sometimes 150% of what we have and still it's not enough. And then we realize that, you know what, this is not the life I want to live. And then by then what's happened is that other people are thinking, jahan itna compromise kar liya aur thoda. But that aur thoda ki kshamta hi nahi rehti hai, himmat hi nahi rehti. And I think that you're going to have to learn to stand up for yourself. And one of the biggest lessons divorce teaches us is to learn to stand up for ourselves. Sometimes we think someone else will come and do that for us, but the real truth is, koi nahi aa raha, hai na? Sparkling Souls Heals is asking, ma'am, please help. My husband doesn't recognize my hard work in doing household chores. He says everyone does this. What to do, ma'am? Will self-glorifying my work help? Sparkling Souls, I don't know if I have an answer to this, apart from the fact that if it is something you really enjoy, you do it for yourself. And if you don't enjoy, look at starting to earn money in the real world and using that money to hire people to do this kind of work. So instead of depending on him for, validation, which is where we get stuck a lot of times, I'd like you to validate yourself. If it is something you enjoy, I want you to continue to doing. Okay. But if you feel like you're doing it to impress him, clearly this is not somewhere where he gets impressed. Look for what does he get impressed with and do that. Maybe there you will get a little more validation, because in this, he doesn't think much of it. Okay, which is what's happened in the patriarchy. So what was supposed to happen on this journey of the man and the woman, or the two genders going along together, was that the woman appreciates the man bringing the money home and the man appreciates the woman running the house phenomenally. Until the time this was happening, it was beautiful. This whole setup or the construct that we had created called society worked wonderfully. At some point along the way, we decided that what the man is doing is very important, but what the woman is doing is not important. And we started to criticize or make this whole housework as if it doesn't matter. So it became like, I'm just a housewife, I'm just a mother. These are massive roles. These are support roles. So it's like you create a building and then you remove the building ka pura support and the whole building will collapse, right? But the building has so much ego that is thinking it exists for itself and the support is not required. Not true. So unfortunately, I feel like we've gone very wrong in not recognizing all the woman wanted. Honestly speaking, all the woman wanted in return for all that she does was a little appreciation. And when that also has been taken away from us, we are becoming more and more masculine. And the world is wondering, why is the woman turning masculine? When the masculine stops playing its role, where does the woman go for appreciation? Women thrive on appreciation. So she is realizing that economics brings appreciation, running the house doesn't. Okay, women are choosing not to have children. Why? Because mother used to be on a pedestal. What was a mother in society? She had the highest rating, right? Today it's just a mother. Hello, I'm not going to ruin my body, my life, my sacrifices, my journey, my career, my everything to only hear that I'm just a mother. I'm sorry, a mother was supposed to be the highest sacrifice you make in your life ever. And if nobody can see it and nobody can recognize it, then I can be better at making money than even my man if that's all I need to do. And once we have ruined this whole gender connection, now it's two men married to each other in most houses. Both are providers. Protection is not required anymore thanks to the world being a safer place, and nobody is really interested in running the house, so you hire people, and that's the new form of a man and a woman coming together, where both are equal partners and both are earning. And now if the man is clever in this world, he'll go back to appreciating the woman running the house. My suggestion would be to a lot of men that, she thrives in her feminine. Let her remain feminine. Give her that space to be feminine, and she will enjoy and fulfill she'll appreciate you, you appreciate her. That is so much better a setup. Okay, not that I want to take away from working women. I am myself one now, but it should be a choice, not a mandatory thing. Ideally, the man's role and the woman's role was such a beautiful, clear. Now they should do it out of respect of what it is that each one wants to do, and they do it that way, and that coming together is called mutualism. So we move from gender roles to mutualism, and that is such a beautiful way to live the journey. Vijay Art 22, dear Pooja, kindly share some pro tips to stay disciplined. While I'm aware of all the best practices, I find it a bit challenging to stay consistent at my practice. Help me navigate this, please. So Vijay, I was recently at Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I think one of my biggest learnings was, instead of trying to be overly disciplined, you just become hyper aware of commanding your body into your control. And let me tell you what that means. Our conscious mind lives in our analytical mind lives in our brain. Our subconscious mind lives in our body. In every cell there is memory. Okay, so our subconscious mind lives in our body. When you sit down to do anything which is not familiar, the body doesn't want to do it. It's like a stray animal. Okay, so a stray animal or a wild animal, and it needs to be trained, it needs to be tamed. Got it? So let's say I wake up in the morning and I've decided that I'm going to swim. So today was my swim day. Yesterday was my yoga day. And for a moment I feel lazy to get into the pool. Now this is my body commanding me. The slave has become the master. The master has to come back into operation and say, I am going to swim. And you go and you swim. And you feel so good because now the mind, which was supposed to be in control, is back in control. And on every small thing, whether it's meditation or writing gratitude or going for a walk or exercising or eating right, you have to start to go, how can I make sure that the mind wins over the body? The body is going to continuously keep telling you. And you have to start to look for these small wins in the day. I was listening to some podcast this morning and I was walking and suddenly midway, I'm supposed to be walking for 20 minutes, and suddenly midway at the 10-minute mark, I'm like, I feel like having a hot coffee. Maybe I should sit down and have a hot coffee. Can you see how my body is playing with me? And I said, no, Pooja, you said 20 minutes, you put the timer, 10 minutes are already over, 10 more minutes, you keep walking. No, it's just 10 more minutes, peel your hot coffee. But what happens is that our body keeps trying, and we keep losing to our body. And then at some point, we don't realize that we are 50 kilos in excess, we are living a life not worth living, we are not built the career we had to. What had happened? Somewhere you let go and you let your body win more than your mind. You let your mind win more than your body, you're going to be top class player of the world. Okay, what is the difference between a superstar or an extraordinary person and an ordinary person? The extraordinary person controls its body. A non-extraordinary or a very ordinary person allows for the body to keep commanding the mind and keep going back into living a very ordinary life, because the body loves the familiar, loves the comfort zone, loves the ease of life, while the mind is out there to be inspired to go and do things. So every morning what I do is I write out how my mind is going to win today. I'm directly having a conversation with my body saying, stay. There's no way I'm giving up. Okay, so don't even try. When I'm going to sit in my meditation, I'm going to finish all of the 40 minutes. Whether it goes good, bad, ugly, I am not going to give you the permission to jump off midway. And so like that, these kind of conversations, when you start to have internally, a time will come where your body will become a tamed animal. And you know what? Even when it does speak, it knows it's not going to listen. So it literally starts to whisper instead of scream. So earlier in my meditations, I would be moving and jumping and shuffling and all of that. Today, I can sit in complete stillness for over an hour. The body is now starting to listen. Okay, now this is just one of my examples in meditation. There are some places where I'm still struggling and the body is having a lot more say than it should. And so you know what? It's a constant. You'll fix something, something else will need to be fixed. You'll fix something, something else will be fixed. But the truth is, over time, once you start to become that strong person who knows who understands the voice of their body, who understands the games that the body is playing with you or your subconscious is playing with you, you know, the ant eventually becomes in control of the elephant, and that's when you truly know that you're going to build something phenomenal over the next 5 years. Mohini, I am separating from my husband and my in-laws are concerned for me and my son. But my husband is just not coming on talking terms. He isn't talking to my son as well. My in-laws want a middle path and are expecting from me to keep trying. But I realize that it will not work unless he starts talking. Mohini, I think the situation is quite clear. I am so glad to hear that, you know what, the in-laws are trying their level best, but they are the ones who need to now intervene and get their son to talk. How much can you do also, hai na? So till the time they don't start to intervene, so every time they come to you, you need to throw it back at them that, hello, can you please help me in doing what you're asking me to do? Can you make sure that he comes and talks? I'm okay taking the middle path, but you have to make him speak. No. So I feel like what a lot of times parents of the boy do is they start to expect everything from the daughter-in-law and they've not done a great job of raising their own son. Please tell them to go now do what they didn't do, what had they done correctly, today this situation wouldn't have been there. Career coach Neha, how do you choose your friends? Are they only from the coaching industry? Neha, I don't think I choose my friends dependent on industry. I choose my friends dependent on energy. And the difference is that I have friends, like one of my closest friends is Puneet's childhood school friend's wife, who is amazing. One of my closest friends is one of my forum buddy. One of my closest friends, and each one of these closest friends that I'm mentioning are just amazing human beings. One of the closest friends is my son's, best friend's mother. So like that, they are from varied spaces, but the reason that we are still friends is because energetically we are a match. So I look for people who are genuinely optimistic. Okay, I look for people who are less interested in gossip and more interested in growth. I look for people who understand that I am a busy woman and that we can start wherever we left off whenever we meet. But if they are expecting those daily calls or daily conversations, I can't be that level of friend, right? So I'm forever looking for people who give me the permission to be me in the relationship, while they should know that I make an excellent friend whenever in need, right? So looking for positivity and looking for inspiring people, people who have ideas, people who are going somewhere in their life, you know. So of course this one friend is not even a working woman, but what I love about her is that she's very passionate about her motherhood, and I feel like I take a lot of inspiration from her in being the mother that I am. So again, you have to see in every friendship, you know, I feel like after you hit 30 or 40, you have no space for generally just stuffing friendships into your life. You have to become very choosy about who you are going to let your energy get impacted by. And the more choosy you become, now of course in the coaching industry, the beauty is that generally people are more evolved in our industry. That's an advantage we have. It's like generally in the movie industry, everybody is better looking than most people on this planet, right? So every industry has its doctors generally will be more intelligent because of the science that they are into than everybody in the world. So every industry has its specific one quality that will be more there than anywhere else. And I feel like one of the things in our coaching industry is that generally people are a little more heart-centered, service-oriented. So of course, making friends in the service industry is always fun. But no, my closest friends are actually, apart from Suren, my closest friends are mostly from outside of the industry rather than from inside of the industry. Yeah. Very few people understand what you are saying. Devika, the beauty is that my tribe understands what I'm saying, and that's all that matters. Divine Feminine Awakened Coaching, I am doing the same thing, Pooja. Yeah, that's a good thing to do, to become choosy about friendships. Like I yesterday was making fun of myself by saying that, I don't have a circle, I have a dot. And I feel like with time, really a dot is more than enough, especially if your spouse is your best friend. Like I feel like there's just so much camaraderie, Puneet, and I have, that I don't need too much friendship outside. I need those 2, 3, 4 people, and those 2, 3, 4 people I have. So my spouse is my best friend, my mom is my best friend. So in दोनों में ही आधा तो वहीं पे ही finish हो जाता है. Sparkling souls. Oh, we already answered that question. Okay. Oh, it's Mansi's birthday. Mansi, a very, very happy birthday to you, sweetheart. Pooja Chaudhary, sometimes my friends are criticizing me for not cooking or being just a home, running the house, making sarcastic comments, not realizing I'm working now and capable of hiring people to run my house efficiently. Pooja Chaudhary, welcome to the land of the working woman. See, the thing about our society is that they are not happy no matter what you do. So when you are a housewife, they will keep reminding you of the immense potential that you have, of all the things that you can do in your life. And then when you start working, they will start to scare you about how your house is going to get neglected, your children are going to get neglected, your spouse is going to get neglected, while none of that is true. Everybody in the world needs to run with some level of, moderation. And as you moderate your life, today I feel like people look at my house and go, oh my God, Pooja, you run it better than most housewives. But that has only happened because I've put in a lot of effort to ensure that nothing gets neglected while I'm busy building my business. Of course, I have a lot of help of my husband who participates equally. So we run the house like a team. So when he looks after all of the expenses, the, vegetables, how much per month bill came, electricity, how much per month bill came, non-veg, how much per month bill came. He has all of the accounts, which I am not a big fan of. I would rather just give that 20,000 and say, for the month, just let me know at the end of the month. But he's very particular and I love how he runs, the way he keeps the register. I know exactly per week ke kitne ghar mein kya kharcha, kisne kya, kaun si maintenance, sab kuch is in the register. So I love that, right? Now what I am really good at is menus. I'm very good at training. I'm very good with new recipes. I'm very good with, presentation on the table. I'm very good with making sure my staff is happy so that they put in their 100%. That's my expertise. So I think between Puneet and me, we've kind of divided our roles where he does what he's really good at. I do what I really am good at. And that has helped a lot. So over time, I feel like, especially if the woman is also working, then maybe at some point you need to come together as a team and see what is it that he enjoys, what is it that I enjoy. And I can't even take away the credit from my mother-in-law, who so cutely will keep decorating my house for me. Some people don't like that. I absolutely love it. Like I just came back from America, and as I entered, the whole house was filled with candles and fresh flowers. And it was so sweet of her, to make me feel so welcomed when we enter back home after 22 days. And she does such a phenomenal job of ye piece wahan rakh dengi, wo piece wahan rakh dengi, shopping जाएंगी तो मेरे लिए 2 candles ले आएंगी और सारा वक्त मेरा घर सजाते रहती हैं, and maybe if I did it, I would do it differently. But I'm thinking कि कोई तो कर रहा है, at least I should be happy कि कोई तो कर रहा है, हो तो रहा है. At least there's a freshness to the house that when a woman does not keep on decorating her house, after a few months, all the pieces start to stagnate, and the energy, if you don't move your pieces around, the energy of every piece starts to to dissipate or starts to, fall, and negativity starts to come in, especially if you have broken pieces or you have things that have been lying in a particular place forever and ever. So what she does is she just comes and refreshes my house every month, and I just absolutely love that. So I guess I've also managed to get a lot of support from others in every possible way. So that's pretty cool. Deepika, how did you meet Suren? Oh, I met Suren about, 2012, I think it was. I'm not 100% sure, but somewhere 2012, 2013, 2012 October, I think. And it was from a common friend in Dubai. We both knew. His name is Gautam. We'll be forever, eternally grateful to him. So he and I had met at the Jack Canfield course, Gautam and I, and then Gautam had come to Chennai for some work, and then he brought Suren to my office, and I think from the day we met, we connected, and within 3 months, we did a live event together, without signing a single contract. We did John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, then we did Jack Canfield, the following month in March, and then from there on, that year, I think we did about almost close to half a dozen events together. We barely even knew each other, but we got along so well, and especially our business relationship got established that particular year. Then after that, he went on to do these events, and I went on to become more and more coach. And then for 5-7 years, we were only friends. We didn't have any business dealings till COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I was like, oh my God, where am I supposed to go now? And he was like, why don't you come and let's together start something on Zoom? And I was like, no, I'm not Zoom types. My extra thing comes from the love I have for people when they come visit me and the energy I pour into them and all of that. And he's like, stop all the bullshit and just start. And then when I started, the Zoom thing just took off, and from then onwards, of course, we were always very close, but I feel like that brought us even closer. And now, because Suren gets along so well with Puneet and I get along so well with Shiny, it's been just phenomenal. So I think some people, are sent by God. So I do believe that Suren and I were chosen together in heaven to come on earth and make it a better place. So I do have a feeling that our soul journeys are meant to be connected. Jasmine Nanavati, hi Pooja, my daughter really wanted to meet you in Dallas, but your schedules just didn't align. I am so sorry, Jasmine. That is so true. I got a beautiful message from her, and I was trying my level best that on the last day I meet her, but unfortunately I think she had to travel the day I was free, and so unfortunately I couldn't meet her. Otherwise 100% we would have met, but I'll be going back to America pretty soon, so whenever I do, I will meet her at some point, hopefully by the grace of God. Yeah. Karishma, how to stay happy always avoiding external critics? Karishma, I do not believe you can stay happy always. Okay, so the truth is our life is going to get challenged. Every day, there's going to be a new problem, a new challenge. Until the time we look at challenges as our growth journey, then we understand that God is growing our bandwidth, because for Him to pour more, He needs to give us what we call growth pains. If you are standing there with a cup, a glass, a tub, or a pool, gets decided by how much of challenges can you handle. People who can only handle challenges worth a cup, they will stay negative only. उनकी लाइफ में इतना छोटा सा होएगा, वो उसको इतना बड़ा कर देंगे. पता है आज वो तो पार्टी में आई थी, उसने मुझे देखा भी नहीं. And that will be their life's biggest challenge. They will not be able to sleep at night. They'll be narrating that story to everybody, and they'll be thinking like, oh, that will be their life's biggest problem, correct? And then there are people who are genuinely facing big challenges. For example, they have cancer, and yet they have this beautiful smile on their face, and they're saying, you know what, even if I have 6 months to live, 1 year to live, 2 years to live, I am going to live happily. So it's crazy. It's the person and not life that decides your happiness, true or not. So I feel like every day, I'm not looking to be happy every day. I am more looking to grow myself to become happy. So I'm not unrealistic, and I feel very scared of this toxic positivity culture that we've brought into the world, where we need to be always happy, which is why I get scared when people use happy and always together. But I do believe that it's okay to own my emotions, and there are days when I'm hormonally upset, or I'm upset because somebody genuinely did something, and then I process that to ask myself, is my expectations too much, or is this person not even capable of fulfilling my expectations, or what can I do to bring myself back to peace? And this ability to use my intelligence to bring myself back to peace, bring myself back to peace, bring myself back to peace is what truly gives us the power to then always keep going back to happiness instead of trying to always be happy, which will become fake. It's beautiful if you can learn to use your intelligence. We use our intelligence a lot for the what if negative. What if something goes wrong? What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if it doesn't succeed? What if I don't make money? What if I lose money? What if... We do a lot of what if in the negative. But imagine if you learned the art of doing the what if in the positive. What if I actually become super successful in this? What if everything works out? What if eventually this becomes the biggest brand in India? What if, and we start to have this genuine positive bias towards life, like as if we are being protected by the universal energies, and there's a divine energy that is working our life, with us, which is what I call the flow state. When you get into that flow state where everything just starts to feel like it's happening easily and effortlessly. Not that it's actually easy or effortless, but it is feeling like that because you've gotten into that flow state, and that is such a lovely place to be in. Okay, so don't try to be happy always. Instead, condition and train your analytical, intelligent mind to process you to go from unhappy to peace. Dr. Reena, Pooja, when everything is going great, all of a sudden certain things like kids, illness, parents, hospitalization comes and everything seems like it's breaking. How can I keep myself aligned? I don't know why in our life we think that we are going to have an upward trend for the rest of our life. So everything is going great, which is phenomenal. But after everything going great will always be a down, and after every down will be an up. And once we start to understand that life was never meant to be like this, but if you've seen the ECG line, if the ECG line becomes straight, you're a dead person. The ECG line is it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Now why? Because when everything is going great, there are no lessons to be learned, but our soul is here to grow. So all of our lessons unfortunately live in the challenges of our life. And if we emerge from the challenges of our life, that's a life worth or good life lived. It's not like Modi ji or Trump or Elon Musk or any big great guy is not going through their rubbish. Rubbish is everywhere. It's how you deal with it. So from today onwards, start to pray for inconveniences rather than problems. So one of the things I have started to do in my life is I've started to differentiate between what is an inconvenience and what is a real issue. And I'll tell you the difference. Inconvenience is that everything will get sorted and will only be better by the end of it. So if someone is hospitalized and they come back stronger, that was an inconvenience. Okay, my flight got delayed, that was an inconvenience. Something has not worked out in the temporary journey of my life, inconvenience. Okay, now what is a real problem? A real problem is something where at the end of the tunnel there's no hope. Okay, that's when you should treat, those are the real problems. Oh my God, you get caught for not paying taxes and you're going to have to go to jail. Oh, that's a real problem, right? There's a real problem if you have a disease that has no cure. That's a real problem. So start to differentiate in your mind. Start to deal with inconveniences with so much love and smiley face that God starts to understand that you have grown yourself to that level where these inconveniences don't do much for you. Okay, when you start to do that, God starts to then send opportunities and lucks, and then you can move into what I call the good problems of life. The good problems of my life is that, I can't have more than 1,000 people in Zoom meeting. The good problems of my life is I have to pay a lot of tax. The good problems of my life is I can't decide between this holiday or that holiday. Both holidays are looking very attractive. Good problems in life. So, you know what? You have bad problems in life and you have good problems in life. And then in between you have inconveniences. And if you do a good job of dealing with your inconveniences, automatically you will start to see that while God will give you still problems, because all of us have to face problems, somehow they will have a goodness attached to it. it might just be a problem that you have prayed for in your life. Like, let's say Shah Rukh Khan. What are the problems of his life? Oh God, if he goes out on the road, he'll get recognized. Now that may be a problem, but it's a great problem to have. What do you think? You know, that I'm having so many clients, I can't make up my mind how to, schedule them. What a beautiful problem to have. So start to notice what's a bad problem, what's an inconvenience, what's a good problem. And when you have different reactions to these three, instead of dealing with all of them like as if they are one problem, then you become very mature about how you're handling the issues of your life. Shweta, after doing life coaching, do we need to join Toastmasters for speaking like you? Please suggest. Shweta, it's a great idea. It's a great platform. If you feel like you want to grow your public speaking skills, I think Toastmasters will be a phenomenal thing. Ma'am, when is your birthday? What star are you? My birthday is actually next Wednesday and I am 7th of May and I'm a Taurian. Oh, wow. Neha, Pooja, can you make a challenge so that the winner gets a dinner or lunch or tea time with you, just with you? Neha, I'm just flattered by your asking this. I feel like I want to have lunch or dinner or tea time just with you for even asking something as sweet as this. Nobody's ever in my life going to believe that somebody literally asked me this question, that they would like to come and have lunch, dinner or tea time with me. So 1,000 kisses, Neha, for just asking this question. You have completely flattered me. Bhakti, I want to start as a coach. After my coaching sessions are over, where do I start? My daughter keeps telling me people will not believe you since you don't have a proper degree. How should I start? Bhakti, I was 29, 30 years old when I started life coaching. At that point in India, nobody had even heard the word life coaching. Okay, and I want you to know that today I have a wait list of people. So in the beginning, when I started out, like how your daughter is saying these things to you, everybody around me said, Pooja, in India, these things don't work, okay? And then I knew that I'll have to wait it out, but that if I do a phenomenal job, there is a need. How did I know that there is a need? Because I myself at one point got completely benefited by the coaching that I had kept. Week after week, having met my coach who worked on me, my personality, my doubts, my fears, my monkey mind, my, all of my inner limiting beliefs. And as the coach kept working, I kept growing. I realized, oh my God, why doesn't every single person have a coach? So my biggest belief came from the fact that it helped my life so much, it helped my spouse's life so much, and then slowly I saw the magic of this work. So forget what everybody around you is telling you, because they have absolutely no idea anything about this industry. It's like 2 years ago when people used to say, no, AI will never be able to replace humans. And now we are seeing what a phenomenal job AI is doing. I mean, what used to take me 2 to 3 hours to create, in 5 minutes I put it on ChatGPT and it sends me word by word what I need to speak or do or create or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is phenomenal. So I feel like we are a little bit ahead of our times, and a time will come in the next 6 months to 1 year. We're not far from it now. In the next 6 months to 1 year, that people are going to start to see that people who have coaches versus people who don't have coaches will be living two different kind of lives. There will be the victims and there will be the creators. And victims will be the people who want to complain, blame and continue being, continue wanting sympathy in life for how hard or how bad their life is. And then they're going to be the creators who will 100% have a coach. Okay, so it's all going to change with time. So my suggestion is, come join me, allow me to guide you, help you all through the way. I have all of the processes and programs set. I have now women under me who've crossed money in crores, so I'm very proud of the fact that what we are building together as a tribe, as a community, is mind-blowing. Divya Rani, hi Pooja, how to manage affirmations, especially when you do many courses? A yearly vision board, affirmations, monthly affirmations. How do you handle overwhelm in this self-help space? So Divya, I don't know if it is so much about being overwhelmed as much as it is about being excited about my future. So when I build that yearly, once a year vision board, it's so fun to create because I know exactly what I'm going for. I like to stretch myself by putting things on it that I know will only come true if I truly live my extraordinary life. So this year was a huge goal on my vision board, which is taking its time to come true, but it is on its way to come true. So I'm very excited about it. Now, I don't get overwhelmed with this vision. I just sit with the energy of that if I dream about it, if I spend time in my visualization about it, if I continuously keep sending myself positive vocabulary around it, if I don't doubt it, it will come to me. And how it comes to me, that's on God. I don't take the pressure of the how. I don't even take the pressure of the deadline. Will it come to me in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year? I'm very open-ended in my energy as far as the life that I'm attracting. I actually normally set all 5-year goals. So right now it's my 45th birthday next week. I know exactly what I want to achieve by my 50th birthday. So in the next 5 years, what all needs to happen for me to know that I'm the creator of my life and that life didn't happen to me, I know exactly all that needs to happen. And I know some of those goals are so out of my ability to, organize. It's crazy, but I'm super excited about it and I've left it to God. My job is only this. I'm imagining myself getting onto a beautiful private plane, going on this beautiful gorgeous safari. There's an Emirates A819, I think it's called, which is supposed to be a 126 plane seater, but it has only 10 seats, and I'm going in that for a 12-day beautiful safari across Africa. And how I'm going to do it, I have no idea. It's super duper expensive. My job is only to visualize, to affirm, to enjoy, to know what I'm wearing on the flight, what I'm carrying on the flight, the kind of people I'm going to meet, the other 8 people on the flight who would have also wanted an experience of this ultra luxury level. And I live in that energy of knowingness that this is going to be my truth sooner than later. Okay, and I'm just giving you a very random example, but I just want you to know that you can take anything in your life and then live in that energy till it becomes so true, it becomes so real in your feelings, that a time comes that you will almost feel like you've already done the safari without having done the safari. And when that happens, your imaginary reality and your real reality will merge. And in your 3D world or in your consciousness will appear all that you have imagined in your... Everything that you see on this planet right now was at one point someone's imagination. The table, the chair, the lamp, the painting, the houses, the cars, the aeroplanes, the rockets, at one point somebody had that thought. And to take your life from thought to reality is the journey you take. So if you're getting overwhelmed, my suggestion is stop for a while. Because the only way I want you to be doing your affirmations and visualization is with a lot of belief that, oh my God, I am depositing in my future account this imagination, and now this imagination is going to get real and come right back to me in my now. And when you start to develop this relationship of depositing from your thoughts, beautiful thoughts into your future account, they start to come to you. And sometimes it will come to you by the evening. I can have a beautiful thought around having a lovely Chinese meal, and the Chinese meal can show up in the evening. I can have a beautiful thought. Beautiful thoughts don't take money, right? They don't take any cost. They are only effort. And when you do that at a time in your body is in sync with the universe, which is early mornings, our chemicals are such that we are a lot more in trance. And trance is that when your conscious and subconscious door is widest, most open. And when you do it in those energies or those times, the reality comes even faster. So Divya, my suggestion to you will be start to get excited. Start to get so excited about your future that there is no denying to you. No matter how your current reality looks, get out of this current reality, the toxic people, the scarcity, the less of money, the not being in the best job. I don't know where you are stuck. See if you can get yourself out of that and see if you can start to think, act and feel like as if you are living. Like, somebody said, but Pooja, won't that be delusional? My suggestion, for some time in your life, be completely delusional. Be so delulu that people should think, ye to pagal ho gayi hai. And I am telling you, from that pagal, you will live the life of your dreams. Today, the life I live is because I have lived in Delulu land for very long, okay? Samreen Huma, wellness coach. I feel uncomfortable to receive money after giving service. So, Samreen, the difference between people who attract abundance and who don't attract abundance is just one, which is their own self-worth. When you feel worthy of receiving, God will start to send you more. When you feel unworthy of receiving, you block your abundance portal or your abundance chakra. So from today onwards, start to have personal conversations with yourself where you are receiving money right, left and center and getting super comfortable with. I mean, ye to you're saying after giving my services. If after giving my services you are feeling uncomfortable receiving money, you have to really ask yourself, what in my journey am I not feeling worthy to receive? Why am I not feeling worthy to receive? And you need to work on this wound. It could be a wound from your previous lives. It could be a wound from your childhood. It could be a wound of one of your parents who have some kind of money wound that has got transferred to you. It is not difficult to clear this wound. It doesn't take more than even 5 minutes to clear it. But once you clear it, you're just going to see abundance coming running at you. Okay, so highly recommend you working on this one, sweetheart, because it's worth working on, because the abundance is dying to come to you and for some odd reason you're saying nahi chahiye. And Lakshmi को जब हम नहीं चाहिए कर देते हैं तो फिर वो मुड़ के चली जाती है, तो हमें उसको मुड़ के भेजना नहीं है, हमने उसको बुलाना है. Start to, in the beginning, you know, when I was very uncomfortable receiving money, one of the things I started to do was I started to build a lot of charity into my work. And that really helped me open up my heart, because I felt like, okay, अपने लिए नहीं तो दूसरों के लिए तो ले सकती हूँ ना. And that helped me open up my abundance portal. So try that also. कि अगर शुरू में, if you can start to say, you know what, 20% of everything that I earn, I will personally go out and help people that need help. And then when your money is getting channelized in that beautiful way, maybe instead of you feeling worthy, you start to feel that, you know what, not just me, but the world will become a better place if I become rich. And that's a conversation I have with myself constantly, where I keep saying this, that the world will be a better place if I become rich. Why should I make the people who make guns and bombs and wars rich? If good people of the world start to receive more money, rather it should be our moral obligation to be rich, you know, because the good people of the world will become rich. What will happen to the world? It'll be a better place. You know what the good people are saying? Mujhe nahi chahiye. So where is all the money going then? The rivers are changing their direction and going to all of the people who are so happy to use the money for the bad things of the world. Chalo bhai, as women we have to now stand up, rise and collect more money, because I know that the heart of a woman really will make this world a better place. ठीक है? ओए होए 10:55 हो गया. टाइम का पता ही नहीं चलता जब I'm so busy talking. Please plan your retreat soon, Jasmine. I am going to, I promise you. It's now on the cards. It's already in my vision. So it's only a matter of time. Okay, I have a few things that I'm launching this month and next month internally in my business. And once they get set by September, uske baad I will start to think of my retreats. ठीक है? I mean, I have so much information right now. I went for the beautiful spiritual retreat to Nepal, where I studied under Rinpoche, one of the happiest men on the planet, or in the top 10 happiest people on the planet. Of course, having gone to Mexico and studying under the shamans, and then, you know, now going and studying under Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I have now been using all of this ancient wisdom. And of course, India itself has so much ancient wisdom in it. I want to just combine all of that and really make my retreats. Hello, is everybody able to hear me? My screen just said 10% battery only. Okay, you can still hear me. Love the fact that you are a fellow Taurian. I also have my birthday tomorrow on 1st of May. Very, very happy birthday to you. Yes, this is our month for sure, so we will do a phenomenal job. So sweet. Pallavi, Pooja, I am fearful about the future political conditions. Sometimes I'm worried about my kids and how would they survive or will stay in their best life. पल्लवी, यू नो वरी के तो कोई एंड ही नहीं है, ठीक है. वी हैव टू बी वरीड अबाउट एवरीथिंग वेयर द वर्ल्ड इज गोइंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ अर्थ, climate change, money and abundance, wars the way they are happening, the political climate. So my suggestion is, instead of thinking about what can go wrong, start to imagine what can go right. Start to study, read about how India is a growing economy right now, how much the government is doing for the people of India, how we have the youngest population of workforce in the world, how we are, truly becoming the nation to, collaborate with. People now from America are flying down to sell us their equipment and everything. So, if you start to see the world as negative, your algorithm in your Instagram se leke the algorithm of life or the quantum field will keep making you download all that is negative. But the glass is half full or the glass is half empty gets decided by you. So you start to see the glass half full. You start to go, oh my God, this is an amazing government, this is an amazing this thing, this is amazing everything. My children will work out amazingly. Their life will be phenomenal. They will be super successful. And instead of, I always say this, the biggest gift a parent gives to their child is when they operate from a place of love rather than a place of fear. When we operate from a place of fear, we keep reminding our children that if they don't do this, they will not become anything. If they don't study, they will become nikhattus. If they don't this thing, they will not get a job. If they don't do that, and we are constantly giving them the injection of fear and then wondering why they grew up to be such fearful children. Instead, if we operated from a place of love, and as a parent, if you could start to infuse into your children that, you know what, you have nothing to worry, life is going to work out beautifully, there is a energy beyond ourselves that is there to love us and support us and care for us, and if I could build my life on that, you can too. And then you keep on encouraging the children, catching them doing things right, encouraging them, making it hard for them in a safe environment. So keeping the environment safe, how challenged can you make them so that they don't get too comfortable? I read somewhere, you shouldn't treat your children so badly that the world will seem better to them, and you shouldn't treat your children so well that the world seems bad to them. So you have to keep on, as a parent, balancing out how good or bad the world will be to them and be similar. So there should be good days and bad days, and it's that combination that makes them strong, right? So you have to be the cheerleader also, and you have to be the principal also. And when you play both the roles beautifully, you actually land up raising children that are strong and yet compassionate. Got it? So come from a place of love, मेरी जान. Stop coming from a place of fear. Fear तो इस दुनिया में सबको मार डालेगा, because fear के पीछे भागने शुरू कर दो ना, तो fear ही fear है इस दुनिया में. मतलब गाड़ी में बैठने का fear हो जाता है, ब्रिज पे जाने का fear हो जाता है. हम तो फिर इतना fear में जा सकते हैं कि we will almost stop operating because of the fears that our mind can build, है ना? So we have to get out of all of that. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. Let's click some pictures. How I love doing this. Okay, cheers to everybody. Thank you so much for coming. God bless you. And if you are interested in my Domestic Goddess 6 videos, after I post this video, just go under that and post Domestic Goddess, and we'll make sure that we reach out to you with the 6 videos or the program that I'd love to give you all as a gift today. For it's my birthday next week, so treat it like a birthday gift. Love you all. Bye. Take care.